Ladies and gentlemen, X and Anya, and bringing you Chris Powell, community contributor of XDC plugins. How you doing, Chris?
Good man, doing real good. Just chilling, trying to settle down. I just actually got back into my hometown yesterday, so just chilling out today. How have you been?
That's been pretty good. Anya with the family, enjoying everything. Uh, you know, it's been a crazy week, to be honest. And just to, for me, it's just we gotta get into 2023 before we get into 2023, if you know what I mean. It's that one day. And it's great to have you while we're kicking off into 2023, is because congrats, man. You have a 5 year journey in crypto. I know you just came up on your 5 years, and congrats on that. I've seen you have done a lot of stuff, and I don't know how your journey has been. And
No, thank you so much. The journey honestly has been all over the place, really. I know you've been in the space for a little minute, so you definitely know what I'm talking about. But it just feels like a windy path, and you know some days you don't know if it's going to be great days or some days are going to be bad days. This year has been very interesting because I mean everything is really falling, and not only that, you're seeing exchanges blowing up left and right. So just seem like the market, uh, there's not many individuals that are really
so much things I know you don't discuss, and I've had the opportunity to actually read it on the plugin website. You have so much achievements that people are unaware of in the space. I know you'll see tweet about nodes and stuff like that, but you've actually got some trophies in the cabinet right now, smoking hot with some blockchain technology stuff. Uh, so how did that go getting those certifications? And I know you're a big Linux player as well. Uh, you pronounce it as Linux, right? So coming into
um, No, you bring up a great point. It's crazy. In the 5 years, I just thought I was going to be someone that just did research and just traded every now and then. But I started to see that blockchain is very community based, and there are so many players involved with trying to build in the space that um, I just figured, okay, maybe I can make my own path of doing something. And so, last year was all about the node craze, and that's when I started writing guides. And I was pretty perplexed, as far as
please don't tell me you cut off. I think you cut. Oh no.
and really from there, I just built my own path from there.
Uh, yeah, man. I just wanted to know. I've watched your journey from. You talk about the physics. I know you started off with the Bantu, and then you transitioned onto open source, and now you add plugins and nodes. And how's that transition been? And educate us on stuff when it comes to nodes.
So I mean, really, a lot of the nodes still use Linux, and so like, yeah, I started off. I got my bachelor's in physics, December 2020, and crazy enough, some of the classes I had to use Linux, and I didn't have to make, I didn't have to make my own servers, but I still just had to use Linux, Ubuntu, and just kind of played around with some different topics and stuff like that. So it really stemmed from there. once I got familiar with it, then that's when I was able to, uh, go ahead and make certain nodes like Go plugins, Apply node or Presearch node, SRX. It's another good one. Um, you know, Building from there, and then just kind of like really is it really is a learning experience. I mean, the starting point really, I would say, or the not starting point, the challenging thing was really like learning about the smart contracts side of things, and I'm still learning that. But Go plugins, Oracle, it uses both Linux and smart contracts, so tying both together, that's a whole different story for me. But was able to make it work, and it's super fun. Very very fun, and anyone that wants to learn about it, it takes some time and dedication to really like get into it.
Yeah, I've watched the video on the Ply Nodes one, and it was confusing. To be honest, because of the scripts that I've seen you do it. And I respect you do it. I don't know how your tablet manages to handle that much nodes running off those open sources, because it's not only Ply. I know you. I've seen you create networks for other stuff, uh, such as Strong and stuff like that, and other projects besides Ply. Yeah, since 5 years and you've been in nodes. What's besides like XLM and XLM XDC, which we're familiar with? What's your main focus in projects for 2023 with regards to nodes and crypto itself?
That's actually a really good question. I was actually, before I actually jumped on here, was thinking about, we're kind of reflecting on this year, and thinking about what I'll be doing for myself going into next year. And I think for myself, I'm going to just focus on a lot of utility based projects. I know that, like you mentioned, XDC and XLM, as well as XRP, those are like my top three. But there are some other projects that I'm really kind of looking into or trying to, dive into, that they have some utility to them. They actually have some use case. And I think that people that are in the space are moving towards that side. There'd be some assets that people would just jump in regardless, but I think for me, I'm going to, as far as crypto assets, I'm going to jump into more the utility driven assets. Now, as far as nodes, I think I'm going to just continue to build on. I know it sounds biased because I work for them, but I'm gonna continue building on my Go plugin nodes. I mean, one thing to consider is that Go plugin is the only Oracle project on XDC, and I think it's going to be that way for a long time, if not forever. So I'm going to just continue to build up on my nodes with that project. But any project outside of like XDC, kind of looking into Flux. I know that you know cloud storage and other different cloud and web-based applications are going to do very well. I mean, they're already doing very well right now, but they're going to excel even further, years down the line. So that's personally what I'm going to be looking into as well. Um, and so, yeah, I think that I'm gonna just continue to just build up on the notes that I currently have, as well as start venturing out to other projects that I've been kind of eyeing for the last few months. Just haven't had the time to really check them out.
Sweet man, and yeah, it's cool that we talk about nodes, uh, but both of us coming from the tech backgrounds, right? And most people, when you talk about nodes, they think more about network devices instead of
Mm.
blockchain, right? So, in terms of the Wi-Fi nodes, do you have any of those that you focused on? I know there was Ox and stuff like that, and there's another one. Can't get the name of it. But any ones that's the Web 3.0 Wi-Fi kind of related.
I mean, the only one I can really think of is Presearch, you know. It probably might be the closest thing. I mean, I have a like a standalone Presearch node, meaning it's not ran on a server, but it's actually connected to my Wi-Fi box, and it's basically a Raspberry Pi. So it is a computer, you know, and I connect it to my Wi-Fi device, and as long as I have some pre-tokens staked to that device, it'll continue to not only help benefit the pre-search network, but it'll generate some pre-tokens as well. That's the only one I'm running right now. That is, I suppose, the closest thing to Web3 related.
So yeah, you just so how does Ply work again, right? We understand the nodes as you explained that with the smart contracts. Maybe we can get into the details of how Ply, because it's on the XDC network, right? With the smart contracts.
Mm-hmm. So Ply or Go Plugin is a decentralized Oracle company that allows for individuals like you and I or anyone around the world to create Oracle nodes to make different calls for data feeds or um, whether simply they use an Oracle or an entity that allows for off-chain data to actually go onto the blockchain. One thing about blockchains in general are that they're walled gardens. The data that is within a certain or specific blockchain stays within the boundaries of that blockchain. And that's a problem in itself because you want to know, like, the blockchain would need information to be able to monitor and track data that could be beneficial for said company or for an individual. For example, if you wanted weather data to actually be on the blockchain, I think that would be it's a powerful use case. The data would be much more secure now that it's actually on the blockchain. So it's more tamper proof. Financial data, that actually come from certain APIs or certain companies would want to use an Oracle to actually onboard their data onto the blockchain. And even data feeds, one of the biggest examples when I kind of look and research into Oracle's data feeds is kind of like the biggest one, because if you're able to truly track the actual data of a specific asset, like let's say Bitcoin uh, right now is at $16,634. Certain exchanges have different price points for Bitcoin. Well, if you are able to get certain data points from different exchanges and then be able to actually put them onto the blockchain, and you're able to know, based off of checking the different, let's say, five data points, if they're all very close, the Oracle in itself would pinpoint the accuracy of those five actual data points, and then actually come to an agreement as to what is the correct price for Bitcoin. And that can happen directly on the blockchain, which would be way more secure and way more transparent and blazingly fast. Go Plugin is on the fast and powerful Zenfin or XDC blockchain, which is a hybrid blockchain in itself. And so it's very scalable, very secure, and the transactions per second is greater than 1,000. So you're looking at something that is much more fast and secure than plenty other blockchains. And so Go Plugin being what they are, they're in a great position to be able to build their project and it's super exciting. I would say just actually being able to work for them. I'm actually really honored to actually be able to work for them, just because, um, it's an Oracle based company, and I've had people like, um, one of my buddies. He actually is an ambassador for Chainlink, which is another Oracle company that is built on Ethereum, and their market cap right now is close to 3 billion or so. And so, that's 3 billion on Chainlink versus 3 million on Go Plugin.
Wow.
And so it's like being able to actually start from the bottom and build up on, XDC's version or their take on Oracle's. Um, it's super exciting. I'm in for the long haul with this.
Yeah, man, that's a pretty great project. And just to, you mentioned hybrid, and I always get excited at that because when I first came into the space, I initially thought like XRP was that hybrid because they would call it the bridge currency. And then when I looked further into XDC, when you talk about hybrid, the private and the public blockchains, right? And the way
Yeah.
when I look at hybrid now is you have your old OSI model for the tech guys, which is the open standard infrastructure, and you have XDC as that hybrid into a new like OSI blockchain infrastructure, which guys call the ISO 2022. But what I'm talking about is like a ISO kind of standard model, right? And
Hmm.
I'm seeing you guys. I remember you guys were mentioning Ledger Mail. I've looked into that. That the format is more of decentralized email. I've looked into Impel, and just you guys being the Oracle. How does all this decentralization and you guys interlink and emerge into the uh, XDC ecosystem working with each other?
That's a good question because, like, I'm coming from Go Plugin side. As far as Ledger Mail, I have checked into it, and I think it's a great project. It's like kind of like with like Storix, for example. Storix is the cloud storage provider for XDC, and so like Ledger Mail, they're also the decentralized mail service, and having all these applications, and building just the early versions of these applications and seeing what they could actually do versus like the traditional Web 2 models of email, standard email. I think it's really, really cool and fascinating just knowing that something like this can be actually built. But as far as XDC or Zenfin, rather, I think one of the biggest things is just knowing just the security of it all. It's like the actual blockchain in itself, because it already has the private and the public ledgers baked in. It offers extra security, and I just can't see how, it might be possible, but I can't see how like something like Ledger Mail would have been built on some other said blockchain. I think it really was the right choice for that to happen on Zenfin. Now, as far as Go Plugin and being able to work together with these type of projects, I think it's very possible. I mean, Oracle can extend, it can extend out to many possibilities. For example, with Ledger Mail, just off the rip, I'm thinking, if they were to do some kind of collaboration or partnership, they would be able to accurately trace um, the data, or from APIs, just different data points from whichever mail or whatever mail you're receiving. And being able to just track the amount of data that you're of the mail that you're receiving from, whether it be Yahoo or iCloud or something like that. But I think it will really come from using APIs. That would probably be the best way. But I haven't really thought too much about the that type of merger. That will be very interesting. But I can see that these type of partnerships are happening, and that is really huge because you can see that again, uh, blockchains generally bring out the community aspect of it all, and I can see that the XDC or Zenfin blockchain has a wide variety of solutions, and also coming together with these solutions is very, very amazing.
I'm gonna go on a leap on this one, and I think this could be a thing, right? Because you guys are in an Oracle, right? So as an Oracle, how do you guys with your smart contracts deploy trade finance with the R3 Corda settler?
That's actually a really good question as well. I'm not 100% sure if we've actually looked into that. I could say maybe they have looked into it, but um, you know, as the community contributor, I haven't gotten that much intel on it, so I can't say much. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they were talked to, Impale and R3 Corda. I'm sure they probably came into some conversations with Plugin to discuss, oracles and different price feeds for certain assets that are ran through Impel. We heard, or at least I've heard of, for example, Bitcoin being ran through Impel bridge, and basically being converted into like an ISO 222 compliant asset, and I mean, that's pretty fascinating in itself because now it's like that standard can be stamped onto in really any asset. So it's very interesting, but I wouldn't be surprised if something like that would be molded together with an Oracle to again check out different data price or price points for different assets.
Yeah, man, the stuff that Impel is doing is pretty cool. Because when I remember believing, the fall of Bitcoin as an XRP maxi is, we have that mentality sometimes. But when I read certain stuff on data, and it gives me that perception that Bitcoin, the network is here to stay. Maybe the price, we don't know what it's going to look like, but being on that
Mm-hmm.
Impel network is going to bring so much value to XDC, and I think its future for 2023 is looking bright. The way we're just talking about exchanges collapsing and regulations coming in, we have trade finance and stuff like that. And yeah, man. Uh, Now, in your 5-year journey and going into 2023, what would be some red flags that you would look into in projects in terms of white papers, networks, and the tokenomics?
I would say first things first. The assets or like the projects that are deemed quote unquote Ponzi-nomics. Like letting 10 or a certain amount of assets stay
Yeah,
or stake into an asset. Or into something. Parking assets. Just for it to actually accumulate from a high APY or APR or whatever. Um, you know, I think that in itself is a red flag. It may work, who knows? Because again, it's all in the crypto space or blockchain space. Some of these assets could be zombie assets where they actually do continue to just increase in price just because of the market sentiment of Bitcoin increasing in price. And so that could happen, but I think a lot of people learned their lesson this year. I'm not going to name any projects, but a lot of people know what I'm talking about because they know that I was in certain projects. But the high APY assets or projects, I think that a lot of people are going to stay away from those just because people have, again, they learn their lesson. They know like that's not long lasting. Getting 10 tokens and putting it into something and you're getting 300% APY or 3,000, some crazy number, it's just not sustainable. I think that people are going to stay away from those. Exchanges, I think that going into next year, just because of this year, exchanges have been blowing up left and right. I think that many people are going to be getting themselves ledgers. I think that more and more people are going to put their assets into cold storage. I don't think that and it's not wise to keep your assets on exchanges, because one day, yeah, you might have your assets on there and things may be okay, and then the next day the exchange blow up and then you're out of 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 plus, so I think more people are going to be more responsible by actually being able to self-custody their assets as well.
Yeah, that's yeah. I've been down that learning curve as well with certain exchanges and stuff like that. Uh, yeah, talking about the cloud stuff, and definitely I believe going into 2023 cybersecurity as the stuff that happened this year. Where do we see ourselves with cybersecurity in terms of blockchain? And we're seeing stuff like Dropbox and stuff slowly be moving on to blockchain. But in terms of stuff like a Microsoft Office 365 and NFTs, we talked about like NFTs on Twitter and the goofy stuff, but down to the real stuff where it's digital identity with real time based performance on cloud computing.
Hmm. These are some really amazing questions, and these are one of some of the questions that you really just have to think about. I mean, going into 2023, I think that someone like Microsoft or Dropbox, again, you have these Web 2 2.0 companies that I think that I think it really comes down to regulation, honestly. I think that that's still in the talks, and not 100% sure that regulations are going to actually be cleared next year. I honestly thought it was going to happen this year. But it's a chance. It's possible that that could happen next year. And I think that once that happened, and you have certain companies that right now, I gave this analogy to one of my friends a few days ago. You have all these companies that are like next to the swimming pool, and their toes are like kind of close to touching the water. I think that what's going to happen is once the regulation hit, you won't have to dip your toe in the water. I think these companies are going to naturally go ahead and jump in, and so someone like Microsoft, they jumping into blockchain related applications or Dropbox, I think they're going to actually go down that path. But I really do think that it comes down to some regulatory framework, in which, again, it could happen next year. It could happen in 2024. I mean, who really knows? In the meanwhile, just kind of have to sit back and just kind of watch everyone's moves.
Yeah,
But also in it, sorry to cut you
no,
off, kind
go
of
ahead.
adding on, I mean, even with cybersecurity, I mean, I think that, it's getting much more advanced. I mean, one of the things to really consider too is that like the GPT chat and like, open AI, all the AI technology that we've been seeing, pop up within the last few months, I think I really do believe that those technologies will be integrated into cybersecurity, and you're also looking into machine learning. I think all of that's going to really get baked into current systems that we're in now that will not only enhance, but or not only improve, but enhance the security that we have. Especially in blockchain and DLT related technology. So that's also something to kind of keep in mind as well. Something to look forward to as we go into the new year.
Yeah, definitely going to look into that. Just to touch on the NFTs again, and the reason why I came back to the real-time based performance is during the World Cup, there was some NFT games, regarding soccer, football, where these players, as they were performing on the field, they had been like performance trackers, and then these NFTs were getting points in them, and whoever has the highest points come on top of the leaderboard. So
Mhm.
that's pretty amazing when it comes to real time. We know the metaverse and the NFTs at some points are going to have some great merge, and a real time based performance in the metaverse obviously would work, and companies moving over, obviously to have this stuff clock in and clock out will have to have real time based performance, right? In
Mhm.
and also in terms of we go through the conspiracy stuff and whatever, and we see Microsoft. We know they're doing stuff with Ripple and XRP. Uh, we've seen XRP with Currency Cloud, and Martek wants, just going back to the IT stuff again. Uh, Managed service providers as a cloud provider, and companies using the Currency Cloud for payments, uh, within the within Microsoft or whatever service that they're using.
Yeah, I mean, just to even touch up on it, I think that's still that's going to be the major thing. I mean, regardless, I think that payments is going to always trump everything else. We can talk about cloud storage or supply chains or trade finance, but I think payments is still going to be the king of use cases for in regards to blockchain technology. And XRP right now is just in a good position, to manage that. I mean, you have individuals that are building on the XRP ledger constantly, and you also are seeing more wallets being created on the XRP ledger. So that just shows that many more individuals and companies are actually partaking into that, in that community. One of the biggest players, obviously Ripple. They just released a report not too long ago about their on-demand liquidity service, and that in itself is a very powerful use case, because being able to send uh, fiat to fiat without obviously an intermediary, and without using any type of nostro vostro, that's very powerful. You don't have to worry about just the actual pre-funding, and I think that in itself, that's already a powerful application in itself. And so I think that going into next year, that's going to also be something to look forward to. Very excited to see how that works, and not just with XRP, but also XLM. Um, they too, Stellar Lumens, they're also have been building and working, with MoneyGram, and just working on remittances. And I think that that's something also really look into. There are a lot of big players, and I think that the everyone in a way will be able to win, going into next year. Um, but it's definitely going to be, I honestly feel like next year is going to be much more, as far as blockchain technology. I think it's going to mature much better than what happened this year. I think that, you know, as we progress through each year, each quarter, or whatnot, we're starting to see developing news of different institutions that are looking into building, CBDCs and such. So it's definitely progressing. And who knows, next year it could really progress even further and faster, depending on which central bank actually are able to put out their version of a CBDC.
Yeah, and on XLM, I know they have Soroban that's going to launch in June next year, which is going to be crazy when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to CBDCs. And then just to touch back, yes, the Ripple report and XRP itself, that liquidity, uh, I know people have their crazy price tags and stuff. And when we look
Hmm.
at back at Bitcoin, we talk about Bitcoin and then we talk about Satoshis. So in terms of liquidity, uh, I think we should be talking in drops and how that's going to play into years to come as well. Because I don't, because we always talk about the XRP, but we never talk about its smallest fractions and how that will be taken into fractional reserves and into its other big time players that it has in its ecosystems as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, drops definitely will be very important. I mean, just knowing that XRP as a whole, just one whole, it's very powerful in itself. Being able to actually facilitate as many many transactions with just one single XRP, but just breaking that down into drops, it just goes to show that XRP in the future is intended to have a higher price point. I don't know personally, don't know. I've seen some crazy numbers. I've seen 50K. I've seen 10K. I've seen 1,000. And I don't know. I really don't know myself, but I just know that if drops in itself, if they're able to being used, and it needs a certain amount, to actually be able to be used, let's say for said transaction and the actual amount, well, the transaction that actually goes through, you only need a small denomination of it. Then yeah, drops will also gain value, and in turn, that would mean that XRP will have to gain some value or some said value. Again, I'm not going to throw price predictions or prices, but I just know that just in the future, more individuals start using it, and you're talking about mass liquidity ran throughout not just institutions and possible central banks, but individuals as well. That really is, in my eyes, leveling the playing field. Being able to see everyone take part of something like this.
Yeah, we've pretty seen those numbers. It's crazy, right? But like everyone gets the I think turn. Like we've seen the Bitcoin went from Bitcoin to Satoshis like to 0.02 Ethereum from like one Ethereum you're getting $100 0.01. So at some point the rest are gonna follow in terms of when everything's fully regulated and done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's going to follow, these next generation blockchains that will actually benefit from the regulations. I could see that happening where they retain, some value and, increase in price just from more players being involved with these distributed ledger technologies.
Yeah, and just to touch on 2023, we've seen major, like, because I'm from SA, right? We know the bricks and stuff, and I've seen the reports in the past with the Department of Homeland Security mentioned XRP, and I've seen these guys test out a million times with HBAR.
Mhm.
And with regards to the states and you being in the states and everything gearing up, where do you see everything going in terms of the the government, the military, and them gearing up into blockchain?
I mean, as of next year, I really do think that I think that things are maturing enough, or rather matured enough, to where um, you know a lot of bad players are getting kicked out. And the sentiment right now, a lot of people realistically are scared. They've seen left and right. all these different exchanges being blown up. But I think that you got to get out all of the bad players first, and I think that's what's happening. And from there, you have the players that will survive, that actually have integrity, and actually been doing their due diligence to be able to survive. And I can see that next year, if things go well again, I don't know if the regulations will hit next year or in 2024. I'm hoping, obviously, next year. Just to get it out the way. I think that once that happened, there'd be more more players that will be able to take part, and you would really see the market mature because of it. Players such as institutions, the public, the retail investors, whatnot, or retail individuals that will be utilizing this technology in some type of way, mom and pop shops, businesses, SMEs, small, medium enterprises, they will be looking forward to getting into this. But being in the States right now, the market sentiment is very low, I'll say.
Well, yeah, man, and just we were talking about Linux earlier on. This one slips from our mind, but we all do research on it. Hyperledger Fabric, and your takes on
Mm.
quant and where they're going with digital identity.
Uh, I actually been because I will tell you this, like being in the space, yeah, it's been 5 years, but there's so many projects that I have like done research and or have been tossed to me, to research. I feel like I've been slacking. But with Quant, I know that they are a part of the Digital Euro Foundation, or I think it's the Digital Euro Project or something like that.
I think it's Digital
You know,
Pound Foundation.
that Digital Pound. There we go. You're right. Digital Pound Foundation. And then also I want to say they probably have some ties with the Hamilton Project as well. I know MIT have been messing around with their central bank digital currency. Again, have to do some more research on it. I'm not sure if it's a wholesale or a retail CBDC, but I think they have some ties with that as well. But Quant, I can see them going very far. I know people still talk down on them, just knowing that it is quote unquote an ERC20 token, but I think that they also have their own standard QRC20, so something to really look into. And they have, if they have ties with the Digital Pound Foundation, then obviously they're doing the work. Gilbert, what's his name? Gilbert Veridian, the
Yeah,
CEO. Yeah, he's been all over the place. So I can see them going very far as well.
yeah, I've seen them on LinkedIn. They're probably doing some big work in Brazil at the moment, and down
Mm.
here, like in South Africa, I know October 2023 next year is when they set to do our driving licenses on the Quant network, which will be like a digital driver's license on Quant. So there's
Mm.
gonna be a lot of uptake for them in 2023, and like just seeing them where they're going, even with non-travel digital identity, and they,
Mm-hmm.
I think XDC is going to be a major player with them as well, in terms of that hybrid private public stuff that they have going on.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that, uh, and that's like one of the biggest things. Like, I just don't know how people, even today, are maxis. Because it's like everyone's going to be working together. It's all these distributed systems. They will be working together one way or another. And I know that Quant and Overledger, um, it ties all the systems together. So it's just like knowing that these players are not only building on their own terms, but also coming together, that's very powerful. And just knowing that it's it just I can just see that everything's coming together the way it needs to. If you really think about it, like one blockchain could or one company couldn't just build everything out, to satisfy the needs of certain companies or certain countries, and so I feel like you can scale only so high. You just would need to have to come together with other distributed systems. And so I definitely could see that happening with quant being one of the focal points in the entire space.
Wow, that's such an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show, Chris. Uh, Thank you for sharing all the knowledge you have as we're going to wrap this up. Uh, if there's any advice that you want to give to anyone, getting into the space since you've been here for a long time, and where we can follow you to learn more.
No, first and foremost, I'm honored. Thank you for actually inviting me to speak. Thank you for allowing me to be able to share my thoughts and concepts and whatnot. You can follow me on Twitter at LeftyChris13. Um, and just for some advice, yes, I've been here for quite some time. Anyone that is new to the space, just do due diligence, do your research like that. I think that's one of the biggest things is, and I know people can say like, well, I don't know where to start. You know, I would say go into reading and learning about if you're just starting, just start looking on like I would say YouTube, probably one of your best friends. Twitter is actually pretty good as well as a good source. Let's start looking into specific use cases that you think that would be that would be used for blockchain technology. Finance, that's a big one. Supply chains, trade finance, cloud storage, Web 3.0, Internet of Things. Just start looking into how blockchain can be a solution for all of those topics. See what pain points those topics have, and how blockchain would be able to um, remedy those issues. I think that's like one of the best things to do as far as starting points. And that's just my opinion. At least for me starting off, um, I had to do a lot of research, and I didn't have many people to actually tell me which way to start. But letting people know like that will probably be the best thing to start off as.
Thank you, Chris. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have, and we're going to be out the building soon. Thank you, Chris, for coming on. It was really an honor and privilege to have you, knowing that you've been such a long time in this space. And we out.
Thank you. Thank you.